This is the release video for the 0.9, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12 releases. Yes, it might seem like a lot, but both Nick and I are proponents of the agile software development process, and we created some features and wanted to get them out to our users, so we made a release. I figured by now, though, I've got enough to make a video. Our big update in 0.9.5 was items. And for that, go watch the How to Use Items video. I wanted to create that because I knew a lot of people were going to have questions. But we've added some features since then. One is we're done what we should have done in the beginning. The items only provide their benefits if they're equipped. So you might still be carrying it, so it adds to your weight, but you're not wearing it or using it. So here's the great helm that I created in the how-to video. It's got a new feature in it. I'll show you that. Under bonuses, you can now add dodge. But Lady Serial is going to unequip it. In doing so, the DR will go down and her dodge will drop 1. As mentioned in the how-to video comments, we don't do strength bonuses yet. That's going to be up to you. You just need to create an on-the-fly formula for the weapon and have the user click it as many times as they need to get the appropriate bonus. Who knows? Someday in the future, we might be able to support that. For now, I think we have the item system working rather well. However, the migration it was a bit tough. And if you're stuck with a situation where your character is not updating correctly because of adding an item or removing an item, it's most likely that it didn't get migrated correctly. And if so, there's a chat command that you can execute, forcemigrate. It's safe to execute, and it will just make certain that all of your users are up to date. I'm going to say that Nick and I are proud to put out code, usually with very few bugs. This, however, was a challenge. Basically, we went from a static display of just displaying lists of things to something that had to allow you to add and remove and transfer. And it required basically open heart surgery. But now that it's in place and everybody's migrated, we should be able to go forward with very few problems. Okay, so the next major feature, and I think this is a game changer, is that user-entered notes or changes to names will be saved between imports, so long as they enter the note at the end or the change in the name at the end. And what do I mean by that? Well, let's take a look at Lady Serial here. She has a broadsword, and it has the note +2 versus orcs. And the player's been told, well, you've got a magical bonus right now. It's actually +4 versus giants. Well, the user can go in and edit the attack and put in the on-the-fly formula for +4 versus giants. There it is in the notes. But in the past, once you re-imported, that note would go away. Well, because this is the last note on the notes, of course there were no notes before, so it's going to be the last one, then it will actually be saved during the re-import. The same occurs on if something already has a note. So here we go, small shield, and the user wants to add a quick link to a PDF, or here they want to edit this name to add an on-the-fly formula. So long as it's at the end, it will be saved during the import. Now, to prove that this is going to get imported, I'm actually going to delete some stuff from the equipment so that you can see that it does update, because Lady Serial comes from the special import location, and so when I click the import button, it's not going to pop up a dialog, and if nothing changes, you won't see it. But so I've deleted some equipment. I'm going to go press the import button, and you will see that the notes that we just added to the melee weapons do not get thrown away. Ready? 3, 2, 1, import. Look at that. They stayed. So this is why I think it's a game changer. The users can now basically use their character sheet and take notes. Now, if they go in and actually change the data, maybe they decide to make this the B sword with a +1 blessing, and then re-import, it's going to get overwritten. Everything, including their +1 blessing. So just remind your players to make notes at the end or changes at the end of the notes, and it will be saved until that thing goes away altogether. Like if Lady Serial stops using a broadsword and switches over to some other weapon, then the broadsword and all the user notes will get deleted on the next import. In 0.9.5, we had set it up such that the /quantity command can be used with an if statement. So you could do something like, if we still have some quantity left, then heal yourself. Well, we expanded that to the uses command and the resource tracker command. Both uses and resource tracker will return true if after they're done doing their stuff, the value that's left is 0 or greater. Now, resource trackers at the moment can actually go below 0, but if you're using the resource tracker to keep track of, say, ammo, then it's perfect for this. One of our users gave me one of their items, and it showed me all of the on-the-fly formulas that he had built. Now, when you transfer this to a character, you have the character edit which resource tracker they're using, but he's built 3 on-the-fly formulas here for 1 shot, 2 shot, and 3 shots, and it subtracts that many from the resource tracker. The reason it has the else statement is, as I said, resource trackers can go negative. So if you try to do a resource tracker -1 and it goes to -1, that means there wasn't anything there. So you don't get to shoot the Magnum, and instead you put that 1 back. And then he has one last on-the-fly formula, which does a reload. It subtracts from his 15mm clip and adds that to the resource tracker. A change since 0.9.5 is I got rid of the old light macro. It was too specific to D&D, and instead just kind of opened up the light API. So instead of having to dig through on how to make tokens light and stuff like that, you can do that with the light command now. So if you are playing in a situation where you don't have global illumination and you do want to do light by character, you can select an actor and give it the light command, and you can do things to it. So here I'll turn the light off on Bog, and now I'll turn the light back on. And what the 2 numbers are is, the first number is how far out the dim illumination will go, and then the second number is how far out the bright illumination will go. And I'm just doing a torch by GURPS rules, or at least the examples that I saw. So this means dim light will go out 6 hexes and the strong light will go out 2 hexes. Of course, you can see up there at the fire elemental, it's got kind of a flickery thing going on, and Bog doesn't have that. Well, that's because the fire elemental has the torch animation. Well, you can add that to Bog by adding torch. And then there are 2 optional parameters to torch. You can give it the frequency that it flickers and by how much does it flicker. By default, I think I have it set for 2 and 2. The numbers go from 1 to 10, so I'll show you 2, 10. So this is flickering really slowly, but between the flickers, it has a huge magnitude that it wavers in and out. And I'll switch it around, so it flickers really quickly, but doesn't change that much. You can also set a field if you're using like a hooded lamp and it only shows light in front of you. The 3rd optional number is the number of degrees to show. So here I'll set it for 90, or maybe I'll make it pencil thin at 30. And this follows the character's rotation. And of course, you can add it all together where it only shows on the 30-degree arc in front of it, but it's a torchlight, say like a hooded lantern. So now you can use the light command to build your own kind of light, and you don't have to worry about what I've copied from the internet. And the last feature is the new chat command reimport, only available to GMs, of course. And what it does is it basically shortcuts the importing process. Instead of going to all of your player characters' character sheets and then clicking on the import button, you can just type this, and that's what this does. So if all of your characters have imported from the special export location, then that's it. You type this 1/ command, and they're all imported. If not all the player characters are coming from the special import location, then it'll just pop up the import dialog asking you where to import. And if there are multiple characters that need to have this, they'll just pop up on top of each other. I'll show you what I mean right here. So I'm going to reimport, and a bunch of them reimport automagically, but treasure chest didn't actually come from a file. And so I can just hit cancel, and turns out right below that is fire elemental. Fire elemental is a MOOC, and it didn't come from a file. So I'll just cancel, and they won't actually import. Not really fancy, but it'll save you some time. Oh, and one last thing we fixed, and I never knew this was happening, and so I apologize, but the changelog viewer was only supposed to show like the last 5 changes, or the last change since you last saw the changelog viewer, but it wasn't. It was showing everything every single time, and I never knew that because I'm the one who's always making the changes, and so to me, I'm always up to date. During the testing, I found out that it's actually doing this, and it's annoying, so I fixed it. Now it'll only show the changes you haven't seen, or a maximum of 5 if you haven't seen anything. If you turn that feature off because it was annoying, turn it back on. It might be useful. As we produce a lot of smaller, hopefully quicker releases, you'll get small bits of information about what we've added. And that's it for the 0.9, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12 releases. And as always, thank you for watching. Oh, I forgot our teaser feature. Nick has added in the conditions menu. This is basically just a reminder. You can set this, that I did an all-out defense, and then later in the round you can look back and go, oh yeah, I remember I did an all-out defense. Also, the GM can look at your character sheet and say, oh right, they did an all-out defense. But Nick has plans for the future. Just you wait.